Hello, this is Green Philosophy. I realized that I could shed my H&R Block clothes. After all, we are challenging the status quo on this channel. Today I'm going to give you a dramatic reading of The Cult of the West, How Trauma Became Doctrine. I've shortened it to be America is a Cult by Shahid Bolsen. The West, America, is a cult. I'm not being hyperbolic. This is why Americans specifically are immediately identifiable. No matter where they are, Americans come across as strange and brainwashed to anywhere that they meet, anywhere in the world. If you interact with an American, you are talking to someone with an insular frame of reference, a fabricated sense of reality, a sense of reality that makes sense only within the American cult compound. It's always a non-interaction interaction. No actual communication takes place in those exchanges. It's like they have a stencil. It's like they're looking through life through a stencil, through a filter. Everything that comes through that lens adheres to that stencil. Nothing that doesn't adhere to that stencil can reach them. That's programming. That's brainwashing. A cult is never going to tell you they are brainwashing you. They won't call their brainwashing programming. They'll call it indoctrination, deprogramming. A cult will tell you that everything that you have ever been taught, everything that you have ever felt, everything that you've ever known, your whole view of reality has been satanic. And we here in the cult will dismantle the lies. We will guide you to the ultimate truth. That's the West. That's your so-called liberalism. And what they want to deprogram is your innate human nature. It's escalatory, just like a cult. You know these weird, insular, secretive cults that exist? They have a tiered system of revealing higher or deeper truth, like the Freemasons. Later in the process, they'll tell you what the cult's really about. They don't start you out with the really bonkers stuff. They don't tell you about the mothership the moment you walk through the door. They'll tell you about hacks to make you more productive, heal your trauma, make you more positive, and so on. But once you buy in, and once you get into that ecosystem, you start to move up the ranks in their internal hierarchy. By then, you start getting told things that you didn't hear in the beginning, like the cult leader is the Messiah, or we are descended from alien spirits. That's when they tell you the weird stuff. They tell you to start letting go of your relationships. Then you move up more and find out that you're supposed to share your spouse with the rest of the cult. It gets weirder the farther up you go. We are all preparing for a departure to another galaxy. It escalates. This is how cults operate. The longer these cults go, the more permissive they get within the cult. The more corrupt, the more debauched, the more depraved they get. That's the West. That is the United States of America. If you look at it that way, you can't unsee it. They are trying to deprogram your intuition and human nature. Just like in many cults, they focus on women. They focus on brainwashing and corrupting women through all sorts of moral inversion. They focus on brainwashing and corrupting women through all sorts of moral inversion. They say that everything that is moral is immoral. There is shame and dignity. They frame modesty and chastity as oppression. They frame objectification as liberatory. This is a cult deprogramming your intuition and human nature, and it is escalating. The argument that cults always use is that their members are happy. They are content. They are comfortable. They drank the Kool-Aid and they like the Kool-Aid. So who are you to call them brainwashed and enslaved. It's all about framing and prioritization. In the West, and with the liberalism philosophy, they deprioritized every metric of well-being besides so-called freedom. Nothing matters more than freedom. That's the official doctrine. So as long as cult members feel that they have this freedom, then nothing else is important. They can't even articulate any dissatisfaction that they might feel. It is just like someone who bought into the internal logic of a cult. That's Americans. No matter how objectively horrible, no matter how objectively abnormal things are, Americans can rationalize it. Americans can anesthetize themselves to it. Americans have absorbed the cult logic. The cult doctrines that make it all make sense to you. You wake up every day in America, already in debt. Before your eyes are open, you owe on your house, you owe on your car, you owe on your education, you owe on your health. Your whole life is chained to subscription services, debt slavery, wage slavery, subscription slavery. Your whole existence is leased. From the moment you are born, you are plugged into a system that feeds on you financially, psychologically, spiritually, and you are told that all of that is freedom. Americans are told this is the best thing that ever happened to humanity. This is the best system that ever is. Americans are told that they should be grateful. They should be proud. Tell me that isn't cult-like. Freedom is a euphemism. You work like a slave. You sell your time, which is what your life is, by the way. Your presence in this world is nothing but time. You don't even sell your time because selling your time would imply that you have a choice. You don't have a choice to sell your time. You have to. You are literally born in debt. From the moment you enter the world, if you live in the West, you live in America, you have to start justifying your existence within the prevailing profit model. Whatever intrinsic value you have as a human being, whatever purpose you might have in this life, is subordinated by necessity to a job you don't care about and to people you don't know in a company that would replace you tomorrow with a machine or AI or with a robot if they could. Your dignity is tied to your productivity. If you don't produce, you don't deserve to eat. You are only worth what you can generate monetarily to someone else. You consume, you scroll, you eat, you buy what you don't need on credit. You reward yourself with the cold comfort of frivolous goods. You reward yourself for all the hard work you are doing, only to keep the cycle going. You bury yourself in entertainment that makes you feel a little less numb for a couple of hours. Imagine the only way you can feel similar to being alive is to watch fiction. You think this is normal because that is what everyone in the cult does. You live alone with little to no human interaction. You walk through crowds like a ghost. Your family is most likely scattered, broken, estranged, again, just like a cult. These are fundamental things that cults do. They break all of your relationships. They alienate you from your family, even your friends. Most likely are just avatars on the screen, curated versions of people pretending to not be as miserable as you are with their Instagrammable perfect lives that nobody is actually living. That's called lateral reinforcement of cult dogma. Your body is malnourished but overstimulated. Your body is chemically altered from morning to night. Coffee to wake up, pills to concentrate, sugar to cope and make you feel better, weed to make you relax, porn to escape, and then melatonin to fall asleep. You don't even know what it feels like to be natural anymore, to live naturally without chemical augmentation. You don't remember what it's like to be a human being because this is the only version of a human that the cult deems to be a human. The cult brands approved addiction as self-care. The cult brands dysfunction as beautiful. This is a cult. Sex isn't sacred anymore. It isn't even intimate anymore. Sex is a commodity. It's a performance. You are taught that your body is your sole value. Fertility is your whole identity, especially for women. You are trained to be attractive, not decent. You are trained to be desired, not loved. You treat relationships like consumables, and then you wonder why you feel disposable. Cults always flatten people to function. You can't have anything personal, anything intimate. Every cult eventually becomes a sex cult. The People's Temple, the Branch Davidians, the Children of God, Nexium. Cults almost always go this way. You have to pay attention to what Western popular culture is doing to women. Cult governments depend on dissolving personal borders, and sexual access is the crowning test of loyalty because that violates the most intimate frontier between people. Look at your culture. Remove the last 3 letters of that word. It's not a culture, it's a cult. If you look at how cults operate, you'll start with platitudes about free love. As a society, America has already gone through that phase in the 1960s. Then that free love idea promotes suspending judgment on all forms of sexuality, promiscuity, normalizing all sorts of behaviors. And then it moves on to sexual healing within the cult. That was established in the public mind through a song. That concept further normalizes all sorts of practices, even perverted and dark practices, all sorts of practices. Even perverted and dark practices are presented as therapeutic. Living out your wildest, darkest fantasies without ever addressing the sick thing inside you that makes you have all these fantasies. That is never addressed. The idea is that it's better to do this consensually with someone than it is to force yourself on someone. For someone else to do this dark fantasy by force. And that is framed as healthy. Think this through. The cult does not help you purge yourself of toxic urges. It provides pathways for acting on them. As far as the cult is concerned, all those toxic urges that you have are just levers for creating dependency. Levers for creating addiction. The way that cults typically operate is by turning cult members into sexual slaves for those at the top of the hierarchy, with all the members vying for their favor. That's across all your social media. Highest bidder access, women objectifying themselves, women sexualizing themselves for sponsorship. That's lateral reinforcement, indoctrination. This is normalization of sexualization and objectification, pornification. The flattening of women to their function within the cult. Women and girls are made immeasurably more neurotic, more depressed, more anxious, more insecure, all because of social media. But within the accepted logic of the cult, you can't see that. You just post a picture of you at the gym and wait for the cult to approve you. The culture has made all the men eunuchs, just like the eunuchs who used to guard the harems. You get to see everything, but only on your phone screen, only on your laptop screen, on your computer. Porn, OnlyFans. You're a eunuch. All of you people who talk about alpha males and high-value men, that's lateral reinforcement of the hierarchy. That's your lateral reinforcement of cult logic that you have absorbed. You've accepted that what the cult tells you that you should want is correct because that's what the elites have. And you've accepted that only the elites can have it. Never mind the it that we are talking about here is a plastic, soulless sex slave. It's moral inversion. The elite of a cult are always the most degenerate. So look at the elite of your society. These are the ones that built your system. They're the ones that programmed your cult. The elites are undeniably the most depraved, the most immoral, the most degenerate people that you can ever imagine. A lot of the movies Shahid Bolsen and his generation grew up with produced by truly demonic perverts. Tell me that isn't programming. You think they're giving us anything good to listen to or to watch that's going to help our brains? No, it's all for programming purposes. And it will reflect the ideology of that cult. And again, just like in a cult, conformity is relentlessly enforced. You memorize scripts, and you recite those scripts just like dogma. Not because you necessarily believe them or even understand them, but because they are scripts of the cult. Left, liberal, or conservative, the cult has relieved you of having to think. You are only allowed to think that you are choosing. In that totalistic cult compound of America that shrinks the manual of available decisions, obedience feels self-chosen. Your streets are violent, your cities are broken, your police are militarized, your children are medicated, your schools are a battleground. Your politicians are circus acts. You are absolutely ruled by corporate landlords. You are entertained by corporate propaganda. You are educated by corporate institutions. You are treated at a very high cost by corporate pharmaceuticals. You are captured in every which way. The reality is, if you get sick, you will go bankrupt. If you get educated, you will go bankrupt. If you get married, you will go bankrupt. They tell you this is all the American dream. It's a drug. It's a simulation. You are living a ritual of slow death that is funded by your own labor. But that's fine. It's all normal. It's all good. Inside the cult, while no objective, non-brainwashed outsider can look at any of this as normal or okay or fine or good. It's an abomination. It's sick. The more you tell yourself that you are free, that you are comfortable, that you have democracy and rights, the more you talk like that, the more brainwashed you sound. You look at a Muslim country or almost any country in the global south, and you think it's miserable over there. You think it's not free, it's poor, what have you, because you are using cult metrics, not objective metrics. In almost any meaningful metric of human well-being, of human happiness and health, the Muslim world and most of the global south countries would outrank the United States of America. The only countries where that is not the case is the countries that the United States has invaded or occupied, or you are otherwise interfering with them. Malaysians are healthier and happier than you. Indonesians are healthier and happier than you. Emiratis are healthier and happier than you. Kuwaitis are healthier and happier than you. They are safer than you. Their streets are not nearly as violent as yours. Their lives are genuinely more affordable than your lives. Their families are stronger. Their families are more stable. Their mental health, their emotional health is better. Unquestionably. They don't kill themselves like you. The rates of addiction are far lower than yours. They produce far fewer criminals than you. There are far fewer issues of body dysmorphia, eating disorders, low self-worth, low self-esteem, depression, loneliness, anxiety. They are more connected as a society. Their relationships are stronger. They aren't perfect in the Muslim world or in the global south. They are unquestionably better, healthier, and happier people than what you have done to your people in the West, especially in the United States of America. Your cult tells you that everyone outside of your cult is lost, miserable, and is suffering. They claim that their so-called liberalism is deprogramming you from oppressive traditions, age-old customs, age-old understanding. The cult is higher and more evolved. It's more enlightened than anything else. It's absolutely false. They are making you worse by the day. They are normalizing worse and worse things by the day. They are deprogramming your humanity day in and day out. But because they call all this freedom and they call all this progress, you're left with no way to articulate your ever worsening existential crisis. There's a sort of window of neuroplasticity after a traumatic event. Trauma can shatter an individual's internal narrative. It causes disorientation, disassociation, basically a breakdown of meaning. During this post-trauma phase, the brain can easily become open to new interpretations of reality to try to gain some form of coherence. Most people's early childhood development, this is how and when and why people who get involved in cults, they do so after suffering some kind of trauma or as a result of some ongoing trauma. The cult gives them a way to process that. Not through a therapeutic way, but a manipulative way to process that. Gaslighting, trauma bonding, cult indoctrination. Cults and extremist groups seize on that moment of neuroplasticity, that vulnerability, that broken psyche that is struggling to find some kind of framework to help them reinterpret whatever that person has experienced. The negative a person has experienced, a cult helps them to reinterpret that in a way that removes the negative emotions that they have around it, or channels those negative emotions into supposedly some positive cult-related activity. This is established. This is factual. This is neuroscience. This is psychology. The West, especially America, is a trauma factory. They aren't a nickel and dime cult that just seizes on people to write their normal and ideological framework post-trauma. No, they create the trauma. America and the West, more broadly, understands something that cult leaders and interrogators and psychological operatives have always known. If you destabilize someone enough, if you traumatize them just right, you can make them rebuild their entire identity around any ideology or framework that you give them. That society, the United States of America, is built to traumatize you. Not always dramatically, but always constantly. There is always real serious trauma as a result of a crime, and insecurity, especially in urban places, a trauma of predation. Your job isn't secure. Your housing isn't secure. Your relationships are fragile. You have no support structure. Not to mention that you have the government constantly telling you to be afraid of this or that boogeyman. You're overstimulated, you're overworked, you're undernourished, you're emotionally neglected. You are spiritually starved. You're in crisis. And then they tell you if you're anxious, it's because of your childhood. Maybe that was broken. Maybe that was because of the oppressive religious morals that you grew up with. If you are depressed, it's because of your heteronormativity. You feel like a stranger in your body? That's great. That's liberation coming through. So you cling to the doctrines they give you because it makes some kind of sense of your dysfunction. Moral relativity, sexual fluidity. They give you a framework to process your trauma that they inflicted on you. Do you understand? They're giving you a positive spin on the psychological, mental, and emotional problems that they have afflicted you with to make you escape into a safe haven